Welcome everybody to the MiniMapCast. This is minimap.com.au's weekly games podcast, your favorite weekly games podcast. My name is Kerry Palmer, and joining me, as always, is Jeremy Bratatich.
Hello. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. Viewer, listener, would you believe that we've been live for 50 minutes on Twitch, getting ready for the show? We've been ready for the show, I would say, for a good half an hour.
Yeah, it's not the latest we've started, but it's one of the latest times we've started after being ready.
It's one of the latest times we've started after not being late for the stream. That's for sure.
Yeah, like we've started streaming sometimes and then had to put together the discussion topic kind of on the fly, and sometimes that's taken a bit longer as we're like ideating. But yeah, not often are we completely ready and we just end up accidentally talking about Star Wars for half an hour.
We are so fucking ridiculous at the moment. Like, I don't know what it's been the last 4 weeks. We just can't stop whenever we talk about Star Wars. We just go. It's almost like we don't talk to each other during the week and then we get to talk to each other or something.
I mean, like we do, but also I think the thing is, Kerry, is that I've been this way for quite a long time.
Okay.
But
why is this new? Why is this happening now?
Because, so years ago,
he has an answer.
a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I was at home once and I was bored and I was thinking about Star Wars well before I got all the way back into it in the way that I have now.
Was this during your Star Wars isn't cool era or before that?
No, this was only a few years ago. Like I was out of home already at this point. But I
thought you said a long time ago. I thought you were like 10.
No, I was just making a little joke there, Kerry. I was sitting at home and I was like, Revenge of the Sith, and I was thinking about that for a little bit, and I was like, what revenge were they getting? And I realized I didn't know the answer to that, and so I Googled, like, what were the Sith getting revenge for?
For being wiped out by the Jedi.
Yes, well before the Phantom Menace. Well before. And I was like,
it is pretty gutsy to name one of your movies after an event that you don't mention once in any of the movies.
And you know what? You watch that movie and you don't think about it, right?
It doesn't matter.
And because like they talk in those movies about like, we will finally get our revenge, is what Maul says to the hologram of Sidious and all that stuff, right? But like, I didn't know what they were talking about, so I fell down a rabbit hole. And I started watching.
I just need to point out they're not talking as no one's a hologram in that scene. They're together on the deck on Coruscant.
Oh yeah, right. And
it's important detail.
Sorry, yeah. And that then threw me down the rabbit hole of YouTube videos, Wikipedia, and then engaging in that then led me to like, well, maybe I watch Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the TV show. And then that got me into, I now own Star Wars books and, watch directors' commentaries and all that stuff and podcasts and all. And right. And so like that happened at a quite a rapid pace.
Right.
And my housemate at the time, I got him involved in it as well, because I would just sort of like knock on his door and I would be like, hey, did you know? And I would just like tell a Star Wars fact that I just learned. And he'd be like, that's so weird. And then we would talk. And then he got into Clone Wars. And then we both watched Rebels. And then the Clone Wars came back. And then we watched Mandalorian. And then we watched The Bad Batch. And we played Fallen Order, all that stuff, right? And he bought Republic Commando and I didn't, because that game doesn't look very good. And it turned into this whole thing. And still to this day, it's been years now, still to this day, he curses me out for saying, I hate that you've done this to my brain, because we will message each other at 4 a.m. being like, like, do you ever think that Ki-Adi-Mundi was lying when he said he needed to have many wives and repopulate the earth, but he just didn't want to actually give up his connection and love for like all this shit, right?
But Jeremy, I haven't done that
yet, Kerry. You are close. I have seen where you have been. I have been where you have been, Kerry. I know your next steps.
I'm about to fall to the dark side.
As Obi-Wan said in The Force Awakens.
hour before the show started, and I was still going.
As Obi-Wan said in The Force Awakens, these are your first steps.
It's hilarious that you're quoting Obi-Wan.
In The Force
It's
Awakens.
even more hilarious that you're quoting him from the sequels.
Yeah. He's got one line in that movie, and it's half written, it's half performed by Alec Guinness, because they cut up a bit.
Ripped his lines.
Yeah, they ripped a bit and shaved some words, and
yeah,
it was neat. It's cute.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't done by an AI.
Yeah, tell me about it. I was gonna come in with this whole other like Game of Thrones anecdote I've got, but that was we gotta go before this whole show gets derailed. We gotta get rolling. Like we're at risk of losing ourselves permanently and just having to rename the entire show.
It is so funny because I have had the thought of like, do I want to do a Star Wars podcast? And my answer has always been like, no, because I listened to one that is kind of already in my mind a perfect Star Wars podcast that I would just be parodying stuff that they say, and that's not.
You don't want to stop listening to it.
Like I don't want to stop listening to them, and also like me saying what someone else has said on another podcast isn't actually interesting.
What do you mean? I do that all the time.
But then we've accidentally made one.
Yeah. We didn't even create one. It just created itself.
Yeah. It spawned via its own accord, like Anakin in Shmi's womb.
Fathered by metachlorians.
And the wills.
Oh my god, alright. So this is the MiniMapCast. We're going to try not to talk about Star Wars except for Jedi Survivor, which is a game, because this is actually a video games podcast. We're going to talk about games. Something else we were talking about in the post show is that next week we are going to be talking about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, because it's coming out on Friday and it's only Monday and it is imminent. It is so close.
It is
just
less than 4 days away.
It's so exciting. It's like, is it 72 hours?
It's
almost 72 hours until it's out on like the eShop, like 78 hours.
Yeah.
That's wild.
What a time.
I keep doing this half joke in my head of saying something like, oh man, that's wild, to talk about like
Tears of the
sequel
Kingdom
to the Breath of the Wild. And then I'm like, oh wait, no, that's not right, because it's not called that. Oh wow, that's Kingdom.
I see.
Wait.
Yeah.
Doesn't really work.
Not
anyway,
really.
MiniMapCast. The MiniMapCast goes live on all podcast platforms every Wednesday with 24 hours of early access given to all of our wonderful patrons. More on that in a little bit. If you like what you're hearing, make sure you tell your friends, especially if they like Star Wars, and give the show a positive rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. It makes a huge difference, and it only takes a few seconds. If you'd like to get notified every time a new episode is released, make sure to follow us on social media. We are the account for Minimap is at MinimapAU on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and also Twitch, where we are live every Monday night, probably talking about Star Wars, 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, for the live recording of the MiniMapCast. We also talk about other things, like video games.
It's also worth pointing out, I think it will die out after, like, this game will have its time in the spotlight, and that's coming to an end. There's no more live action Star Wars for like a hot minute.
Yeah, I probably won't be like returning to Andor.
Yeah, it is coming to a close for a while.
Hope so. I reckon Zelda will distract us pretty thoroughly.
I reckon so.
What if you hate it, Jeremy? What if you finally turned the corner on Breath of the Wild and you get to Tears of the Kingdom and it's different in all the wrong ways that you hate it?
I will be surprised and not.
Yeah. So when we're live on Twitch, we always hang out with the chat beforehand and during and after. It's a really good time. And we'd love to see you there. If you miss the live recording and you want to catch the post show, those recordings go up on Patreon, where we are entirely funded from, aside from our own pockets. If you wanted to help keep the mics and lights on, you can support us over there by becoming one of our patrons. For only $5 a month, you get 24 hours of early access for all episodes of the MiniMapCast. Some extra bonus features. We did record a new Patreon exclusive show
Oh, yeah.
for the first time this weekend. where we did we come up with a name?
Remember E3.
Or Remember E3.
Remember E3.
Remember E3.
Yeah.
Remember E3. Something like that. What did you say? E3 TV? But yeah, where we watch old E3s and react to them. And it was really fun. We reacted to the PlayStation 2009 E3 press conference. And there were things we were surprised by somehow, and things we were delighted by, and things we were disappointed by. It was great.
Oh,
we may or may not end up releasing one of those on just public to give everyone a taste. But yeah, you can find that on our Patreon soon.
When Agent by Rockstar Games showed up, that was like
when we heard
like,
one
oh
paragraph about Agent,
and they mentioned Metal Gear and then didn't show anything.
That was baffling. Anyway. So yeah, you'll be able to find that on Patreon soon, as well as some other little things we're cooking up. So you can head on over to patreon.com/minimapau to help us out, to check that stuff out. And remember, supporting us over there is cheaper than a latte with oat milk. And finally, we also wanted to say thank you to Shook for letting us use the Moog Model D Improv as the music for the MiniMapCast. You can listen to more of Shook's music at shook.bandcamp.com. No, you go.
I was just gonna say there's a Moog Model D in a shop nearby my house that I look at all the time, and it is like $18,000. It is so expensive.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah.
I would, synthesizers can be expensive, but if I had to ballpark it, I would have said like $3,000 to $5,000.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like once they were made at a certain point, and like after a while,
they make a certain sound,
and after a while, they're like, we're at this point with these. There is only going to be less and less in the world.
Mm-hmm. Just like that, and UMDs.
Just like UMDs.
Yeah, what are we starting with today, Jeremy? Do you want to do the topic, or you want to do games?
No, let's do the topic.
All right, we're doing the topic of the show today, everybody. The topic is shopkeepers. Specifically, who are the best shopkeepers in video games? It was funny because we were doing this before, and I was like, Jeremy, can you think of any? And Jeremy said that he had 5.
Yes.
And I had 1. I have thought of more since then. But yeah, it's a funny topic because I feel like shopkeepers of games are simultaneously everywhere and nowhere at all. You know what I mean? They are prevalent, but also like completely nondescript. They are hilarious and noteworthy, and they are background noise and completely forgettable.
Yeah. Like a good shopkeeper is someone to remember.
Yeah.
Like a good.
Everyone says, "Oh, what you buying?"
Yeah. The Resident Evil 4 shopkeeper is legendary.
And I want to say here on the record, the merchant. I want to say on the record that people give the Resident Evil 4 remake merchant performance apparently shit. Apparently it was bad. I thought it was quite good.
I think it was good, but I think comparing the two, the original was better, which is a shame. Because the original is so like what are you buying is so like I haven't even played the original RE4.
Yeah,
but I know that. And so, it would be like, just messing up James Jonah Jameson, right? Like he's not integral, but fuck, he's good.
Yeah. At the same time, I like the so much more different flavor they gave him in the remake. Like he's got so many more lines in the remake than he had in the original.
Sure.
And yeah, they're delivered a little differently, but like he's got so much more character. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think the merchant is on either of our lists because we didn't play the original, and the remake's fine, but he's not that memorable, I would say. But
I did put the Duke on this list.
Yes, from Resident Evil 8.
Yes.
But yeah, and there was the one that I knew who I wanted to include as soon as this topic came up. Never for a shadow of a moment did I ever think to not include this person.
Right.
Was the merchant from Pyre.
Right. I still don't remember who it is.
He's a little weird, little creepy guy.
Yeah, right. Well, like before we jump in, there's a couple of because I was trying to work out like how we're going to do this topic, and so I came up with a couple of questions that we can answer to each one to kind of like figure out like what their kind of deal is, right? So like the first criteria we have is like, what's their vibe? Like, how do you describe the vibe of this merchant? What would be their best-selling item? You know, it can be in-universe or not. Adjacent to what they would be selling literally in the game might be a bit more interesting than just like, oh, it's this gun that cost a lot of money. What's their average Google review like? You know, stars, any feedback, you know, commendations, common themes across Google reviews, all that stuff.
Yep.
And the last one is, and this is a little bit more nebulous, a little bit more drug dealery. If they called you at 2 a.m., would you pick up?
If a drug dealer called me at 2 a.m., no.
But if this is your guy, would you pick up? A call at 2 a.m., usually not very good. Usually,
or
excellent.
Very good.
Yeah. He might be like, I've got this thing. It's too hot for me to...
You won't believe what I'm about to do.
Like,
I'm outside your front door.
It's too hot for me to hold on to, but I know you want it. So let's... right. So, and you know...
Or even just like, hey, I accidentally bought 2 meals worth at Macca's and I'm outside your place. Do you want some?
Yeah, right. And you know, and that's the gamble you take, right? So, so let's start going through them. Where do you want to start?
We'll start with your list because it's longer.
All right. Let's start with the Duke because we can both talk to the Duke. Resident Evil 8.
I don't like talking to the Duke.
Oh, I like talking to the Duke. I think he's good fun because he's cheeky and he knows more than he ever leads on, but there's a little bit of sympathy for the main character Ethan in this game. He'll still sell you stuff and he won't give you anything for free, but he's on Ethan's side.
It seems like that at times, but at other times with the amount that he holds back, like the amount that he holds out from Ethan, it definitely feels like if he was on Ethan's side, he could say anything else.
Sure, right.
Stuff.
Yeah.
There is so much they keep from you in that game until like the final hour.
Yeah.
It's like, that's like the only story they've got is all of those revelations they just don't give you for 6 hours prior.
Yeah.
So you just have to go off Duke's creepy vibes.
Yeah. So
and the different menaces you find.
So his vibe, the Duke's vibe, I think is fair to say, he's kind of the narrator. Like, I know he's not because the game actually has a narrator, but he kind of is telling the story.
Yeah.
Which I think is fun. And he plays with that.
Yeah, he does. And like, he's kind of jovial, like in a way that only he himself is laughing because Ethan's a chronically unfunny person, but also
Ethan has never heard of a joke, but also that man has gone through so many traumatic events.
That's the thing.
Like, I don't blame him.
Exactly. And the Duke has not realized that now is not the time.
Yeah.
But for the Duke, it is always the time. This is the time.
Ethan has interactions with 3 people across the entirety of Resident Evil 8. There is the Duke, who does unfortunate jokes at poor times. Chris Redfield, who just beats him up at a moment's notice. He just
bullies him for no reason.
Yeah. And an old lady who just laughs maniacally at any given moment.
There's also that time where the big bad of the game is pretending to be his wife and he watches her get shot to pieces.
Yeah. So what's the best thing that the Duke will sell?
The best thing?
I think it's something like an ornate statue. I think he would happily sell
that's what he'll happily buy.
But I think he doesn't buy them just to keep them.
Oh, no.
He would sell one.
In terms of like in game, the thing I want to see from the Duke is like permanent upgrades.
Right. Okay. You want stat boosts,
or like,
but in the form of
storage capacity.
How do you buy a stat boost in the world of Resident Evil? I think it's like
weapon attachments.
Okay, I was thinking like grubs. Like here's some magical beetles that I found growing in the swamp.
Well, did you know that there are actually stat boosts in Resident Evil 8?
Really?
Yeah, with the cooking mechanic, if you get fish and chicken and pigs and get their meat,
Yeah, right.
you could cook like permanent stat boosts.
Neat. That's fun.
And I didn't want to go around killing these innocent chickens and pigs and fish, so I just didn't.
What's the average Google review of the Duke? Because I don't think it's very high.
No. It's 2 at best. 2 out of 5 at best.
Yeah, 2 out of 5.
I reckon the Duke smells.
Yeah.
Like he's constantly like coughing while like laughing at something he said about you. Like
and I also think that nearly no one appreciates his jokes.
No.
Like they don't vibe with, like he's always happy, but like no one else really vibes with him. Look, he's always there. He gets points for always being there. No matter where you are, he'll show up.
It is always in a way that is like unnerving.
Yeah.
It's like, how did you get here?
If you called the Duke at 2 a.m., would you pick up?
No.
Neither would I.
Really?
I don't think a phone call with him would be fun.
Do you think it would be for something, or do you think he'd just be wanting a chat?
I think it would be for something, and it would take forever for him to actually tell me what it is.
Yeah.
He would go through his whole charade, and it would be impatient. I would be very impatient with him. I'd be like, I need you to tell me what it is, otherwise I'm going back to sleep.
I was gonna like do his voice, but I completely forgotten it. I've only got Resident Evil 4's.
It's just deep and posh English.
Yeah. Couldn't have told you it was English.
I'm pretty sure it's English. I mean, his name's the Duke, right?
No American Dukes.
Who next? You know everyone on my list. So who next? Do you know all?
Why is Patches here?
He's a merchant.
At times.
I think always.
Actually, maybe only once.
No. He sells you stuff in Demon Souls, and he sells you stuff in Bloodborne.
Oh, okay.
Does he not sell you stuff in Dark Souls?
Dark Souls, no. He's just a piece of shit.
Well,
but he sells you stuff in Elden Ring.
Right. Yeah.
If you don't kill him.
Yeah. Well, I'll go on further. We'll do the Bloodborne version of Patches when he's a gigantic spider.
I was gonna say he's a spider in Bloodborne, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Patches
Which is
spider.
very strange and funny.
Oh yeah.
Is it the same like voice actor?
Yeah. Yeah. Like high English.
That's such a funny bit.
Yeah. What's the vibe of Patches? Off. Patches vibes are always fucking off. He sucks. Patches is a fucking dick.
Patches is a snake.
Yes.
He's gross.
He's such a piece of shit.
Yeah. Like chronically, he can't help himself.
For those who don't know, Patches is a bald English man in Souls games who always betrays you, no matter what.
He always lures you into a trap thinking that he can loot your stuff.
And he's sniveling. He's like, oh, haha, you see, you escaped my trap. Haha, well, you want to buy these things that I found? Sort of like he's a piece of shit. I hate him.
Yeah.
His vibes suck.
Yeah. He'll also like, even if you like find his boss fight in Elden Ring and you get to the point where he like surrenders.
Yeah.
And he like becomes a vendor. If you like keep returning to him, he'll like tell you to go over and look at that thing and like
when you summon him against Rodan, he leaves. Like he's a joke.
Yeah, no, he is the whole time. Like he actually, did you know he in Elden Ring he actually suggests that at the bottom of Raya Lucaria you get eaten by the abductor Iron Maiden,
yeah, right,
which sends you to Volcano Manor.
Yeah.
And he says it as like, oh, there's treasure down there. He sends you there to go get fucked up.
Like that guy.
For no reason. Like, he can't loot you there. He's in the middle of Limgrave, but he just sends you to go die.
His Google reviews are 1. Like, he has like the minimum amount of stars possible on your given platform of choice.
Actually, I think it's the opposite. I think like,
or has he faked it? Has he got
he's always on a new Google account. He's always on a new store account that you haven't seen that lasts for 2 weeks until people catch on, and he's already got a new email address put aside to start the next one.
So he's got 5 stars because he's got a bunch of burner accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
right.
all
Okay,
of
I like
those
that.
failed accounts review his new one.
Yeah, and they're all anagrams of the word patches. His best-selling item, it's like never really that good. He doesn't actually have anything of worth most of the time.
In Elden Ring, he actually has something.
Okay.
He's got Margit's Shackle, which you can use to stun Margit the Fell at the front of Stormvale.
Right, okay.
Which like traps him in like ancient magic for like 10 seconds. And you can use it more later on.
So he's got boss items.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Elden Ring is the most useful he's been. It's the most like neutral he's been.
I think he's got some stuff in, like, I know you can buy grass from him in Demon Souls, but like I think he's got a couple of useful things in Bloodborne, but I don't remember what it is. I think you have to do some stuff with him to get one of the umbilical cords, I think, but I could be wrong. I know that game's so cool. If Patches called you at 2 a.m., would you pick up? I wouldn't pick up if it was convenient for me. I don't want to talk to him.
I wouldn't pick up if it was 2 p.m.
Yeah, it's like, oh, Patches is calling me. Like, block this user.
I would be like, who is this? Oh, it's Patches. Fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. The only time I would answer is because Patches has spoofed one of my friend's numbers and to get in contact with me because he's that much of a piece of shit.
Oh man, that would be so annoying to pick up a phone call that you thought was someone else and it was just fucking Patches.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you want?
Yeah.
You slime ball.
Yeah. All right. Should we do Beetle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So Beetle's on both of our lists.
Yeah. Beetle, The Legend of Zelda, most popular shopkeeper. I
wonder if he's actually legitimately the most recurring shopkeeper. I don't think there are many others who return.
Yeah, and he's in like Phantom Hourglass and stuff as well. Like he's in those.
Oh,
games.
is he in those ones?
Yeah, he's got a traveling little. He's got a shop boat, which is really fun.
Well, that's a layover from Wind Waker.
Yeah,
where he was introduced with his shop boats. Is he in both the DS games?
I don't know about Spirit Tracks. I've not played it much.
Okay, so he's at least in at least
like,
the other one.
I assume so because Spirit Tracks is again part of that lineage, but I'm not sure.
And then he's in Skyward Sword, and then he's in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
We might be seeing more of Beetle in 78 hours.
How exciting!
Beetle's so fun.
I love him. He's a darling.
He's great, and like you can't forget his voice. Let me try it. Where he's like,
Oh, yeah. He's always so thrilled to be there.
Yeah, and then when he goes through various stages of being more or less polite. Even when like you don't buy something or like you can't afford something, he's like, oh.
Yeah.
Although in Skyward Sword, he operates like a flying shop. It's like a flying house that he keeps afloat on a bicycle pedal.
Yeah,
like he's pedaling the whole time behind the counter. And so if you go up there and don't buy anything and you go to leave, he's like, hey, you're really heavy.
Yeah,
you didn't even have the decency to buy something, and he throws you out the trapdoor.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's so enthusiastic, and that the way they play that out in Breath of the Wild is he's an enthusiast. He's a bug enthusiast.
Yeah,
he always wants to buy different bugs.
Yes. I forgot what he was like in Phantom Hourglass. So the masked ship is a ship in the Phantom Hourglass, which is just like a ship boat. The masked ship is managed by Beetle's alter ego, Beetle's assistant. It appears instead of Beetle's shop between 10 a.m. to noon on weekends and 10 p.m. to midnight on weekdays, according to the DS clock.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it is really, really funny.
Oh, and it's like a secret shop, and it's got a piece of heart, and it's got a bottle, and right, okay.
Yeah. Beetle's vibes are just good. He's just a sweetheart. I love him. What's his best-selling item? It's got to be a rare bug, right? Or is his most important item is like, I found this incredible rare bug.
I don't think it's his best selling.
No, but his most important, his prized possession that he would sell you.
Yeah, current day Beetle would be a bug that only he knows how to reliably catch.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's also a collector. He wants to hang on to the really unique ones that like no one can catch.
Yeah.
But he's also selling the bugs. And his most important one is one that he can reliably catch, but no one else can find.
Yeah.
That like Link can use for a potion or something.
Yeah. Average Google review, it's probably like 4. It's not 5.
Yeah, like 3.5.
Yeah.
That 3.5 to 4 range where it's like, oh look, it's decent, but it's not fantastic.
Yeah, like he doesn't have the best stuff all the time, but at least he's always got arrows when I need it.
But he's also a bit annoying.
Yeah, he's a little bit intense at times.
And a little bit like socially oblivious, maybe?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's a little bit oblivious to what you might want or need. He's just so excited about everything all the time, which is lovely, but sometimes it's not the energy I'm there for.
Yeah, it's not like sometimes I'm here to shop, like I'm not actually here to like socialize.
Yeah, totally.
If Beetle called you at 2 a.m., would you pick up?
Absolutely.
I think so. But and for better or worse, right? If Beetle's like, hey, I've got this amazing thing, I know you'd want it. Or if Beetle's like, help, I'm being attacked by bogoblins. Like I'm being robbed right now.
Yeah.
Like on the phone.
Yep.
I would try and help him out.
Beetle's human, you know? Beetle calms down in the evenings.
Yeah.
He sits by the fire. You could do this guy with sword. If you go sleep in the bed in the house, in his house, then he flies you back to his little island where he keeps the house. And you can go outside and sit by the fire with him and have a chat. And he's just sitting there.
Yeah.
And he's watching the fireflies and
he'd share stories.
Yeah. But he's an honest man, an honest merchant.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't try and rip you off ever.
No. So yeah, if Beetle's got my number and he gives me a call at 2 a.m., I'm picking up.
Yeah, totally.
Even if it's just to say hi.
Yeah. All right, do you want to go through some of yours?
Yeah. So
you have to explain these to me because I don't know who these two are.
That's all right. So Falcon Ron is the shopkeeper from Pyre. I had to look this up before. I gained all of this just from a quick Google. The market before the rites, before the ritual, before the fantasy soccer, the market that he runs is called the Slug Market, which I forgot. And he sells like artifacts for all of your different characters that like modify their dash speed and their cooldown and stuff like that. And a lot of the times they're character specific or a general one that they can all equip. But Falcon Ron is this smiley little guy who sits on the back of someone's shoulders, this much larger creature who he calls Dad, who might actually be his dad. So he's riding on his dad's shoulders with like a little pagoda over the top of him. Constantly holding slugs. There's slugs dangling from his little overhang, from his little shade cloth. And he's always laughing. He's always sitting there like sniveling and being like, what about the hell?
Like goofy or like...
Well, in a way that it's like hard to tell because no one in that game speaks English when they speak. So I don't know if he's speaking a language or if he's just laughing the whole time, but he's kind of just laughing the whole time.
Right.
I had to, the one video I found when I was referencing this was a Let's Play and someone was talking to him and the person was like, shut up, you little creepy guy. But then the other guy couldn't help but like laugh each time the other guy was laughing.
Right.
There was some... I'd have to go back to our Pyre review because I'm sure I did an impression, but there was some like repeatable like phrase he did every time he bought something or like closed the store or like opened the store. He'd always like start a certain way. And his music is great and his vibes are funny. He's a little queer, like little weird, little creepy guy.
I don't know if I like his vibes.
Neither do I. But like, he's got a very genuine smile. He's not trying to ever rip you off. He's not ever trying to like overreach or anything. He's just laughing at you the whole time. So, what's their vibe? It is a weird vibe. It's that kind of like, banished to the underworld and making do kind of a vibe, but also like not trying to rip you off. Like this person has Beetle's honesty, but none of Beetle's charm.
Right. Okay.
Just all of Beetle's eccentricity.
Yeah.
With no charm.
Man, I don't remember fucking anything about this game. This game left.
You sure don't?
No.
You cannonballed it, didn't you? Like 2 days?
It was a little bit longer than that, but like, it just really didn't leave much of an impression on me.
Oh man, I spent like 2 or 3 weeks with that game. That game means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little creepy, weird little guy.
Yeah.
Best-selling item.
Slugs. Like it's got to be slugs, right?
Slugs and trinkets is all he sells. The thing that's difficult with this one is for Pyre, all of the items are like really unique. It's not like Ruki's like shade cloth and Jodariel's shade cloth and the Tizu's shade cloth. Like they're not all like palette swaps. All of them are different items. They're all bespoke and unique and interesting. He's just got shit. He's just got weird shit. You just go there and you don't know what you're going to find. He just has stuff.
Right.
So I really don't know how to answer this question.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, right.
It's just his best-selling item is something.
Okay. Average Google review?
It's like a 2.5.
Yeah, it's not high. Surely
like he's
not.
useful. He's like the only useful, maybe honest person in that area, but like you kind of wish there was another option for you to go to.
Yeah, he wouldn't be my first choice for buying stuff.
I would much rather listen to Beetle talk about bugs than listen to Falcon Ron giggle.
And let's be
everything
real,
and nothing.
We're not going to answer his phone call at 2 a.m.
I would maybe. Maybe he's got a joke. Maybe he wants to tell me one of the jokes that he's always laughing at in his head.
It would be incoherent. It wouldn't mean anything. It would just be him giggling on the phone, and you'd be like, "All right," and then you hang up. But he would never hang up. He would just be giggling until you do.
But if I reckon if I stayed on the phone long enough, I'd get a discount.
All right.
Don't you reckon?
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I've already got one more, but what do you want to do? Do you want to do my one or your one, or
let's do Zer.
Yeah.
Zer from Destiny, if you don't know, is a specific merchant in Destiny where he will sell you weapons and armor for a specific currency, as he is sort of a rogue character. He's part of a hidden cult society, ancient civilization thing.
His title is Agent of the Nine.
Yeah. Which is cool. That's a cool title. And he
also has like tentacles for a face.
Yeah, he's got tentacles coming out of his face. You don't actually see what his face really looks like. No. He's got a cloak on. He's a unique character. He's not like anyone else in that universe.
Mm-hmm. Remember when he used to only deal in strange coins?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You never really knew what was going on, but also he would also appear in different locations around the galaxy.
That were never indicated to you.
Never indicated. He would just be there, and you would follow Twitter accounts that'd be like, "Where's Zer and what is he selling?" Because he would have a persistent rotation across everybody, so everybody got the same version of his shop, but every time he showed up, it'd be different.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating character, and he always says vague things.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't tell you a single thing that he said, but they were always vague.
Let's see. I'm on the Destiny.fandom article. A bunch of quotes here. Let me just pick like a random 3.
Yeah.
I understood my mission when the 9 put it in me. Oh, what? Now I cannot articulate it.
Mm-hmm.
Items belong to the 9, not me.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a good one. Goodbye.
and he would also say things directly to you like, do not be alarmed. I know no reason to cause you harm, which was like, that's mysterious, right?
But also, my will is not my own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Zer's vibes are pretty on. Like, I really dig him. He's got so much mystery about him.
So much mystery. Yeah. Like, he's never been threatening.
No, but you don't ever fully trust him.
No.
You have no reason to. He's a completely rogue agent.
And the brief encounters that we've had with the 9 in Destiny, them I find threatening. Them I find scary.
Yeah, they are kind of omnipotent in a way that is hard to comprehend or articulate.
Yeah, kind of like the Watchers.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
yeah, because they don't really get involved in anything, but they are always there.
Yeah. So yeah, Zer's vibe is like, he's a good middle ground. Like, he's a decent. He is like half man, half.
He's a herald, right? He works for someone of greater being.
Yeah,
but he is definitely mortal.
Yeah, he is not the 9. He's an agent of the 9.
Yeah. His best-selling item is got to be some, like god weapon, right? Like it is.
Well, do you remember what he sells? He sells exotics.
Yeah.
In every week, he's come around with a different bunch of exotics, which is very important when you're starting the game. Very important when Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 are brand new.
Yeah.
Because people don't have them. Like he was where you got Gjallarhorn the first time. Like he sold it. Destiny 1, he sold it in like the first couple of weeks, and people didn't know how good it was yet. And then they didn't bring it back till like the middle of the 3rd year before Destiny 2 came out.
Because there was
he didn't sell it for years after they did the first time.
It was also a pre-order bonus at some point.
For 2 and for the 30th anniversary pack, but not for the first game.
Because I remember when,
or maybe it was for Rise of Iron.
I remember when Zer sold Gala. No, it was a whole thing that Zer never sold Gjallarhorn. That was
because he sold it. No, he sold it once again when people didn't know how good it was yet.
Right. Okay.
And then it never came back around.
Yeah, because I remember the moment it did come back around, the Destiny subreddit turned into a Club Penguin subreddit because they said that they would do that if Zer ever sold Gjallarhorn, which is funny.
It happened like months before Destiny 1 like shut down, and you lost it anyway. Well, not shut down, but Destiny 2 came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Average Google review, like kind of like a 4. Like people don't dig him, but he's got good stuff.
Yeah, it's like a flat 4.
Yeah.
It's funny when I think of like star reviews, because like 4 stars on a restaurant is like, okay, that's all right, but like 4 stars on like a free to play like mobile app is like game is like, okay, it must be somewhat decent at least.
Kinda, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If he called you at 2 a.m., would you pick up? I think I would have to.
What do you mean?
I think if Zer is contacting me, then like I need to know what he needs, what he is telling me.
I think if Zer called me at 2 a.m., I don't think I would.
I think I'd pick up in terms of like, because he doesn't do things on his own.
That's true.
He's the voice of the 9, and so the voice of the 9 needs to tell me something. I better answer, or else I'm gonna die.
Yeah, I don't think I would pick up.
Right. Okay.
I don't need to hear what he has to say.
Fair enough. All right. Who's yours? Your last one.
My last one here is another Zelda one. This is Malon from Twilight Princess. So at the start of the game, you start in Ordon Village, and there are like 3 kids who you like look after and do like chores with, and they all look up to you because you're a bit taller and you like have a job and you have a training sword, and they're like, whoa,
right?
And like Link knows how to use a slingshot, and they're like, whoa, like they love Link, but they're also like little rat bags.
Right.
Anyway, the village gets like ransacked and the kids get captured, and when you find them again, they've been taken to Kakariko Village, and they sort of integrate themselves there with the townspeople and the Gorons in Kakariko Village. But one of the little kids is sort of this like there's this brash kid with like long hair. He's like 8 or 10. Like there's an older girl of like 12 who's a bit more serious. And then there's this little kid who's like the size of like a 4-year-old, constantly like swaddled, but always like standing, who just like stands there and with like this like deadpan face, talks to you in full sentences. Like voice acting is like, what? Like they're just like really flat. Yeah. And they open a shop in Kakariko Village. Just this little guy.
That's funny.
And so you could donate to one of the Gorons who's in the shop, and it lets you upgrade the store, but it also lets you open, if you fund them enough and do a couple of side quests to like free to like clear a path from Kakariko to Hyrule Castletown.
Mm-hmm.
They can open the Castletown Malon Mart.
Right.
And it's like a big deal. You have to put in like thousands of rupees to do it. And so when you get there, it's like a fucking party. There's constantly a theme song going that's like a remix of the actual one. But they've got dancers in there constantly, and there's lights spinning. It becomes this like flagship store.
Right, okay.
Run by this grumpy kid.
Yeah.
Who's like 6 years old and got taken from their village like a month ago. It's a real weird vibe. And it's fantastic. And there's all kinds of great shit you can only buy in that store. And every time you go in there, it's just got a smile on your face. And it's like, you know, that game came out in like 07, right? Yeah. Like late 06. That game is brown, but not that store. That store is so bright. Anyway, so Malon Mart and Malon was my pick here.
I need to see what they look like. Malon.
Yeah, the little grumpy kid.
Yeah, right. This is a child.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, and not just like a child, like that 10-year-old and that 12-year-old. Like this is like
a baby.
This is a kid.
Yeah.
Like just barely not a toddler.
Yeah.
And like I said, they speak in full sentences. It's like the Zelda version of like Stewie from Family Guy or something
right.
like that, you know? Like there's this real sense that this is just like an adult in a child's body.
Yeah, right.
It's very strange, and no one addresses it.
No, of course not.
Like it's not straight, and like the logo for the store is just this kid's grumpy face.
It kind of reminds me in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, Huey, Dewey, and Louie all run different shops in the village.
Right.
One of them sells like shields, the other one sells like accessories, and the other one sells like potions and stuff. And they're all bankrolled by Uncle Scrooge, who is like trying to open up an ice cream shop.
Right.
Yeah, like just children shopkeepers. It's like it's always funny.
Yeah, real weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe when we're in the break we can look at footage of the flagship store Malon Mart, because it's quite a sight. But yeah, what is the vibe of Malon and Malon Mart? It's off-putting, but in kind of like a harmless way. Just like, oh, I'm dealing with a business person.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
I could do that. Like you are given to accept the circumstances, no matter how strange they actually are, and it becomes your normal quite quickly.
What's their best-selling item?
Bomb arrows.
Bomb arrows.
Bomb arrows.
Can't go wrong.
The most unique item that Malon sells is the magic armor, which protects you from taking damage, but constantly drains rupees at like 1 a second.
Fuck.
And when you're out of rupees, it turns into like iron boots.
I see.
Like you can't move and it doesn't protect you.
Great.
It's very strange.
Average Google review. 3?
No, this is like a 4.8. Like,
oh wow, okay.
Like Malon wins hearts and minds with great customer service.
Right, all right.
Not like, oh, how's your mother or whatever. Just like a competent shopkeeper.
And if Malon called you at 2 a.m., would you pick up?
Malon wouldn't call me at 2 a.m.
Yeah, but if you got a call and it said Malon on the caller ID at 2 a.m.
No, it wouldn't happen. The question's irrelevant. Malon doesn't need anything at 2 a.m.
Oh, okay. All right. the final one I've got here. Just before we do, I just want to give 2 honorable mentions.
Oh, sure, please.
One of them being all of the shopkeepers in Stardew Valley. Blessed villages. Wonderful
I haven't played
village.
Stardew Valley for more than like 15 minutes.
Really?
Yep.
You should play that game. It's excellent. It's truly excellent.
By all accounts.
Yeah. And the other shopkeeper that I need to give honorable mention to is the humble Moogle. Just like
I mean, oh,
really delightful little creature, cross game, cross franchise. In the Kingdom Hearts franchise, the Moogles are the kings of the synthesization. That they are the ones that make the ultimate weapons for you.
How many times are they actually merchants?
Oh, like every time.
I don't know if that's true.
They're pretty merchant characters.
I'm only seeing stuff for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
They're kind of like only merchants. That's their that's their thing. The first appeared in Final Fantasy III and have appeared in some capacity in every main series game with the exception of Final Fantasy IX. There you go.
Yeah, like they're in they are in 10, but just like vaguely. They're not anyone special. 12, it's a similar thing. They're just like another species.
Right. Anyway, they're good fun. They're adorable little freaks. And I love them. I love them all.
Yeah, those are great.
My final one is Slim Cognito from the Ratchet and Clank franchise. Not the.
What was the last game he was in? Let me look that up.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was in Rift Apart. Slim is the black market weapons dealer in the Ratchet and Clank franchise. He is known as a wanted man in that universe. He's not the only shopkeeper in Ratchet and Clank. There's quite a few across the various games. Some of them are characters, some of them are just screens. But Slim is the only like character one who's like got a name. He's got a little bit of a story. Slim's vibes they're cool, but they're always kind of off because he makes really weird jokes a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's also always constantly going like, "Hey,
yeah,
over here."
Yeah, yeah. He's got that New York like, hey, you wanna buy a weapon over here? Like
he's clandestine.
Yeah. There's a hilariously dirty joke in Ratchet and Clank 3 when you meet him. He's kind of confined to a guy behind a wall. I'm looking at him now. The picture of him on the wiki is just, I forgot, he was just a bunch of eyes in like a black space. He's just not a bunch.
Eyes. Like, you don't just a pair of eyes.
Yeah. Slim Cognito, great name.
Yeah.
But like when you first see him in 3, you kind of stumble across his shop as you're going through one of the planets, and he goes, he's like Ratchet and Clank are walking past, and he goes, "Hey, put it in the slot," because he's got like a little hole that's kind of like crotch height.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, put it in the slot," and then Ratchet's like, "What?" And he goes, "Your bolts, put them in the slot." He's so creepy.
Yeah,
he's so off-putting.
Yeah, he was in 2, 3, Size Matters, Secret Agent Clank, and Tools of Destruction.
Right, there you go.
And then he was apparently reimagined in the 2016 remake as the Shady Salesman.
Yeah,
even although it's a different character.
Yeah, so in Ratchet and Clank 1, there's a character that acts a lot like him, but is just like another alien that you can see because he makes the same gross jokes. Because like you bump into him in the first game, like in my head canon, it is the same guy.
Is this the guy near the hoverboard racing?
Yeah, because you go up to him and he goes, he says like, "Hey buddy," like he basically says like, "I want to buy Clank," and Ratchet's like, "How much?" but he says like, but he goes to Ratchet. He goes, "Rip ya a new one," and Ratchet's
Rip
like,
ya a new one.
"Yeah." And Ratchet goes, "What did you just say to me?" And like that's the name of the Rhino gun, the most powerful weapon in all of Ratchet and Clank.
He says it again though.
Yeah.
Rip ya a new one.
Yeah, which is like that is really gross.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, this is funny actually. So in the first game, that salesman is called the Shady Salesman.
yeah, that's
and
why
then
they.
in the remake they called the Shady Salesman Slim Cognito.
Yeah, it's all kind of the same guy.
Yeah.
He's good fun. He's got an advert in 3, I think, which is quite funny, like a little cutscene.
Yeah. Like pop on down to Slim Cognitos.
Yeah. Yeah, what's their vibe? Look, you know where to go when you want something hot, right? He doesn't sell anything on the books.
No.
Everything's a little bit.
If you don't know what Slim Cognito sells, then you don't need to buy anything from Slim Cognito.
Yeah, yeah. His best-selling items is like some planet-destroying like harpoon gun or some shit, right? It's always like,
well, it's the Rhino. Like, if we're talking about someone who might sell the Rhino, it's the Rhino.
Yeah. Average Google review. This man is not on Google. You cannot find any reviews of this man. He is a ghost. He does not exist.
No.
You can find
average police report.
Yeah. If he called me at 2 a.m., would I pick up? Yeah. He's got something for me that he wants to move.
Maybe. I might be too scared.
No, but he's never dangerous is the thing. He's wanted, but only as a weapons dealer, but not as an adversary.
It's fine, guys. He's only an arms dealer.
Yeah. But he's not like he's only
a black market galactic arms dealer.
Yeah. No, if he's calling me, he's got something that he wants to move. He wouldn't call me to get him out of a pinch.
No, that's true.
He's calling me for business. He's not calling me for help.
I don't need that call at 2 a.m. though.
Oh, but if he's calling me at 2 a.m., like, it's going to be good. If he's calling me at all, it's going to be good.
You have a lot of faith in Slim.
Oh, I love
your
Slim.
old mate Slim.
Love Slim. There you go.
That's it. That's the topic. A fun one.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent of the old question corners, Jeremy. It's been a while. This is a good one. I didn't think, like I said, I said before the show, this has the chance to run, like, to be a quick topic. And then I said, well, now that I've said that, it won't be. And here we are, overtime. But that was good. That had a good flow and a good cadence. We're gonna chuck it to a quick break. Think of your favorite Zer quotes in the meantime, and then when we come back, we'll be talking about Star Wars again and other stuff. Zelda. We'll be back. Welcome back.
What a completely normal podcast we're having.
Such a normal podcast.
Very normal one. Just a real normal one tonight.
Wouldn't you believe that during the break we spoke more about Star Wars?
Did we?
Yes, Jeremy. We were talking about it when...
Oh, no.
We started talking about it when you got up.
I left.
Yeah, but then by the time I got up to go talk to Sam, you were talking about it. And you were talking about it until I just sat down.
No, we were...
I heard you talking about stormtroopers and...
Yeah, well, I was talking about Fortnite. And it was talking about the 501st, and about how they're bad. But, like, yeah, I guess you were talking about Star Wars. Anyway, I'm going to talk about what I played this week. Now, we did both play and finish Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
No, not finish.
Sorry, we did both play. I finished. You're getting close.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to talk really much about what I've done. One, because I don't want to spoil Kerry, and two, we're doing a mini disc soon.
Is that confirmed?
Yes, as of earlier today. I reconfirmed it. So yeah, we are going to do a mini disc on that. A big deep dive into that game, which I think will be fun because I think there's plenty there to chew on.
There is. Yep. So
to start us off, I'm just going to talk about what I played mostly, which is Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
So I had this plan. I had this grand plan, Kerry, where I was going to finish Star Wars and then finish Metroid and then have enough time to jump directly into Zelda.
Yeah.
And then what I did last night is I played Metroid Dread and finished it in like a sitting. And I had a good, not the whole game, but like I had a good chunk.
Oh,
I probably
I thought you were telling me you started it yesterday and finished it yesterday.
No, I picked up where I left off.
Like you said that and I was like, what?
Realistically, I played half of the game last night.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit further. My finished time.
So what, did you not start a new save, or had you started earlier in the week and that was where you got up to?
When I finished Metroid Prime, I started Dread and I played about 4 or 5 hours, maybe like 4.5 hours of that.
Okay.
And then I stopped for a bit because I played Star Wars, and then I came back and then did about 3.5 to 4 hours last night.
Wow.
Of Metroid Dread.
And so you did the whole thing in 8 hours?
Yeah, like I checked my time at the end. It was 7 hours and like 58 minutes.
Wow.
Just
Do you
sub
think
8
that's
hours.
because you did the front half already, so it was a little familiar?
Like, look, a little bit in terms of in terms of I knew the mechanics.
Yeah.
And I was coming directly out of another Metroid, and then playing Jedi Survivor is another Metroidvania. And so like I've been on that kick a little bit. And yeah, like there was a little bit of, I understood roughly where to go at the front, probably third of Metroid Dread. And then, but then after that, it was like purely on my own. And I had to relearn the difficulty curve because that game is tricky. And the bosses, some of them are quite tricky as well. How
many times did you die?
125, I think, was my final.
Compare that to Prime.
Yeah, right. And like a lot of those are bosses. A lot of those were boss deaths. I very rarely died in the overworld.
Some of them, not the Emmys, but some of those bosses are like Souls-like at times, aren't they? Like,
yeah,
really tough.
They are heavy mechanic bosses, and it's all about like they're all timing, and it's all which mechanic and what do I do at this point to this attack. It's
make sure you jump here, make sure you slide there at this time, make sure you delay on this one, make sure you counter.
Metroid Dread is one of the best games on the Switch.
There you go. There you have it.
It is a mechanical masterpiece. Everything has got a use. Everything has got a purpose. Everything has got more than one use and more than one purpose in different contexts. It's like different enemies react to different things. Different bosses have got like, I should use this attack. I should use this jump. Use this. It's so good. It's such a fucking good game.
Awesome.
The story is like plenty good. It is a plenty good story. There's some twists.
Seems like
and
one
turns.
of the most robust Metroid stories I've seen or heard of. Like it actually has like characters and
like you can count the amount of characters on one hand. But like they've all got clear intentions, and there's a little twist in there which is all good fun. And it's just fucking sick. It's just a really fucking sick game. The locations are really cool. They change it up towards the end of the game in a way that was quite exciting. There's a lot of really fun abilities that you get, and they're all Metroid abilities, but they're like fun Metroid abilities. There's like a pseudo grappling hook that also will open a certain type of door, because every ability in this game will open a different type of door, because that's how Metroid works. A lot of fun morph ball abilities. The suits are really cool. The final suit is dope. The final fights are really fucking sick. The final main boss, because you do the final boss and there's like a little bit after. The final boss is such a good fight. It is really challenging and has got multiple phases, but you learn it.
Yeah, right.
You learn it and it feels good and it feels earned. It is a really killer fucking game. And like 8 hours. Mwah, that's a good size game.
That's a spicy meat. No,
that
seems low for the time to beat.
For learners, it's probably closer to about 10 hours.
All right, Metroid Dread veteran Jeremy over here.
No, but like in terms of people who have never played a Metroid before.
If
this was my first playthrough, I probably would have got it done in about 10, 11 hours.
Main story average 9 hours, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That seems to match up.
Yeah.
Shaved an hour or a bit less off of of your playtime.
Yeah. I don't like this. Like the whole game is just really great. I would go back and play that game again, and maybe do like 100%. I was talking to my old housemate about it because he also loves this game, and he was like, he said it's one of the easiest games to 100% because the combat is just that fun. And I was like, yeah, like it really is. It's just
completionist runs on average are just shy of 14 hours.
I could, and I believe there's some optional bosses in there as well. It's really good. It is really, really cool. The vibe of the game is like really, it's strong and consistent throughout the entire game. The scene gets set within the first like 20 minutes of the game, and it carries it through until the very end in a really cohesive manner. What a fucking sick game. Man, that Metroid Dread, what a cool game. I'm so glad I got those amiibos.
Yeah, even more cool now than you were.
Totally. Fighting Emmys,
even more
really
happy,
great. Fighting Emmys is so engaging and such a really cool way to give you a different type of tension throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
Just what a fucking 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Jeremy, have you played Super Metroid?
I've not. I've played, like, I dabbled in it once when the...
You have literally played it,
yeah,
but...
Yeah, but I've not sat down and played it.
Yeah. I think whenever you get that Metroid hankering in the future, I reckon you should give it a go, maybe on the Switch's NSO or however you want. But it's I'd be interested to know what you think about it. It is more analogous to Metroid Prime, like you will find it to be, because Prime was like, we've got to take our most popular Metroid game and put it in 3D. So let's take one of our most popular, like the world is very similar, and you land on the planet in the same way, and you return to your ship, like the structure and the planets and it is all similar in many ways, but it is very good in that regard. The control, it won't feel anywhere near as good to control.
I know that's fine. Yeah. Speaking of controls, the worst thing the events of last night have cost me money because
why?
I played 3.5 hours of Metroid Dread, right?
Okay.
My Joy-Cons disconnected from the console about 40 times.
Oh no.
While I was in handheld.
Oh no.
They just keep
mine have started doing that. One of mine has.
Lose connection fucking constantly. If I shift my weight on the Joy-Cons a little bit, they just become a little bit dislodged and they just disconnect.
Yep.
All the fucking time. So I'm buying another controller. I'm buying one of the 8-bit Do controllers. The one that looks like an Xbox controller.
Like Elite, the Pro Elite or something?
Yeah, that one. It comes like
that one looks good.
With the dock. Because
I think that one's got Hall effect sensors, doesn't it? It's got the magnetic analog stick
I've no idea.
Sensors instead of potentiometers, so it shouldn't get drift.
Right. Cool.
Uses magnets.
Yeah. I've got like a wireless dongle, but that wireless dongle also occasionally disconnects because it's a very cheap. It's a very cheap one. I bought it for like $8.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like an official good one or anything.
You got what you paid for.
Yeah, totally. Like it worked for the few times I used it, but like I just want to get a good solid controller so that I never have to use those Joy-Cons again. So that's sort of been my Switch thing, and especially because I know I can get this controller before Zelda on Friday.
Oh, like getting it now.
Yeah. So I'll cop it. I won't get any fancy nice looking one. I'll just get the regular black one. But yeah, that's sort of it. Like I planned on beating it before Zelda, and suddenly I now have an entire week. To play
what are you gonna do with yourself?
I was saying in the break that like I've got a couple of things I want to do. So I want to do the new Apex season when that comes out later in this week. I want to get the clone armor in Fortnite.
Yep.
Because that shouldn't be too difficult. And I'm sort of like just kind of vibe around with some games. I don't really want to start anything.
No.
I thought about like, do I try and smash out Horizons DLC? And I'm like, no. I'll wait on that for like a few months, probably.
Poor Horizon.
Well, because like I'm not gonna like going from a new Zelda directly to that is gonna hurt. So like,
yes.
I need to give that the entirety of my Tears of the Kingdom and then a bit of a buffer.
Yes, you do. I went from Zelda to Horizon the first time.
Yeah, not so good.
Rough.
Yeah.
No.
And I was like, do I go back to Midnight Suns? And it's like, maybe, because that game is like, I'm not going to beat that game before Zelda, and I know that. So like, maybe I just pluck away at that.
What about the Street Fighter demo? You're gonna sink your teeth into that?
That's a really good idea. I've got that downloaded, so I might go fuck around in that.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing I've been playing on the cellular phone is a sequel, a threequel, as I learned earlier today, to What the Golf. What the Car?
What the Car? Which is funny because in the game What the Golf, there are a number of car levels.
Yep. Now, What the Car begins how you'd expect it to. You are driving a car to the end of
First person?
No. You're driving a car in third person with funny controls because it's on my phone, right? There's a button to honk the horn. And there's a steering wheel that you're controlling kind of like a captain's wheel where you're just kind of like doing this and doing this, but with your finger, sort of like you're doing a captain's wheel on a ship, which is funny. And the game begins just in you're in a regular car. And then the second level is like car with legs. and immediately,
oh wow, they go in hard and fast.
Immediately, I'm like, oh, this is funny. And then it was the third level, Kerry, is car with too many legs, which is a car doing like cartwheels with legs.
Yeah.
And then there's a car with very long legs where you're doing jumping with legs as it's running, even though you still can't. This game is instantly fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean,
like,
did you play What the Golf?
I did. I did on the phone. I did a few months ago. Like again,
just like What the Golf, this is only launched on Apple Arcade so far.
And this sort of leads me to the other part is I've actually had Apple Arcade since I got my iPhone because they gave me like a 3-month trial when I got it because it was a new phone. And I then forgot to cancel it, but I've been using it a lot, so I actually haven't canceled it. There's a lot of good stuff on there. There's like a lot of really good games on there that I don't have to pay for. Like, you know, I have to pay for the subscription, but like, if I'm getting a $9-10 game every month, which I kind of am, then it's kind of working out, right? Like I've been playing Mini Metro on the phone. I've been playing Mini Motorways, the other one.
Yeah.
Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy is on the phone, and it is maybe the worst possible way you could play that game.
Yeah.
It fucking sucks, and there's like...
absolutely imprecise, and you can't see what you're doing under the hammer.
Kerry, there is touchscreen acceleration built into that game, which you can turn off, but it doesn't seem to do anything, and it is horrible. I played 20 minutes of it and went, I am not
touchscreen acceleration.
It is horrid.
That's heinous.
It is absolutely horrid. There's another game called...
Oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
You know they put time in to make that worse.
There's another game on here called Bridge Constructor, which is what you'd expect it to be, but it's a good one because a lot of the... Like, Apple Arcade is like, you want to not wade through shit?
Yeah.
Here's $8 a month. All pretty good games.
And you get decent stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So I've been going through that. Gotta say...
say it.
What the Car is really good. It's really funny, and I don't want to talk too much about it because so many of them are like, the joke is funny.
Yeah, totally.
That's like the point.
What the Golf is the same.
Yeah,
is it as expansive as What the Golf was? Because What the Golf had like hundreds of levels.
It looks like it. The moment I got into the overworld of What the Car, because there's an overworld.
Yeah.
It bridged instantly, and I went, "Oh fuck!" And there's like a lot of levels here,
and then each level is like a new conceit.
Yes,
or like
they're all just like, here's just a bunch of dumb mechanics.
Yeah,
maybe we go through the first few levels in the post show just to have a look at some of them. They're quite good.
Sounds silly.
Also, Dead Cells is on the phone.
Oh wow!
With all of the DLC, which it's not included. It's not included in Apple Arcade. The DLC you got to pay for extra, but like Dead Cells is on the phone.
I always feel weird about Dead Cells.
Why is that?
Because like I feel like the after they made Dead Cells, I feel like Motion Twin got like moved on from the game, or like the publisher like took it on instead.
That sounds familiar. I feel like I remember that.
With the success of Dead Cells into 2019, Motion Twin wanted to move on to their next game while still supporting Dead Cells. However, they still wanted to remain a small cooperative of 8 to 10 persons, so internally they created a new development team called Evil Empire around January 2019 to take over the development and support of Dead Cells, while the other Motion Twin developers started on their next project. Oh, okay. So a different group, quote unquote, did take it over, but it was just them.
Right, okay.
Evil Empire is run by Motion Twin's former head of marketing, and it's not run as a cooperative, particularly because the company wants to scale beyond 10 employees. So yeah, it was sort of like, let's make one group that can absolutely focus in on the success, like the commercial success of Dead Cells.
Yeah.
And make that a continued commercial success, while we have this other group that continues to just do creative stuff.
And like it kind of worked for them, right? Because now they're doing Dead Cells Castlevania, which is like, that's pretty cool.
They've been going nonstop, just continually making content for that game.
That's kind of neat.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's on the phone. Like I'm not going to play too much of it on the phone because I've already got it on Switch, and
and you'd start over and it'd play worse.
Yeah, it doesn't play as well as actual like physical touch controls. Turns out buttons are good for games.
Turns out.
Yeah. But like it's cool that it's there. It's like more of a novelty.
Yep.
And I can't download Fortnite onto my phone.
Did you want to, or did you realize that you couldn't before you got there?
I wanted to, and then I searched it in the App Store, and I was like, oh, that's right, it's not here. It's under Epic Game Store. And I looked that up, and I'm like, oh wait, it's actually not here at all.
No, it's not, because it didn't. Yeah.
And so I went on Epic's website, and I'm like, can I download this? And the answer was like a vague no, where they don't outrightly say no because they still
Didn't Tim Sweeney?
I think it's coming at some point, but
2023 New Year's Twitter. Here we go.
The jocks have destroyed the nerds across the interwebs. Rise
Fortnite
up.
First, 2023, Epic's Games CEO Tim Sweeney tweeted that #Fortnite will return to iOS this year.
Yeah, I don't know when that's going to be.
No.
Yeah, what a loser. I'm kind of mad he didn't block me because I called him a loser online and he didn't respond. Yeah, I don't know. Like Fortnite will come to phones when it comes to phones, but like in the meantime, because I was like, oh, like I want something kind of lighter to play in bed, like, and I can fuck around the Fortnite in bed, but it was not to be.
No, it was not to be.
And I
guess you'll just have to pick another device.
And like it was funny because the offerings were like you can actually download the Xbox Cloud app and play it.
That's right. That's the workaround.
And I was like, I don't really want to do that.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure it'll run fine, but I kind of just want a native client. Like you can tell the difference enough that I just like I'll wait.
That's fair. I did look up that controller you were talking about. It does have Hall effect joysticks, so they won't degrade like resistor control sticks do. They've also got back buttons.
Yeah.
And you can also modify the back buttons just with the phone app or with the PC app, so you don't have to do the thing with the PlayStation 5 where you can only modify what the back buttons do on the PS5.
Really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
So you can use the back buttons on like PC if you plug it in, but if you want to modify which back button does what, you have to plug it into your PlayStation and change it there.
Good grief.
So that seems really cool. That seems good. I'll be interested to hear how you go with that, because this is a nice segue into what I was playing this week.
So really quick, just to cap off, I now know why Fortnite is coming to back to iOS, and we know
Epic
when
wants to make money.
Not just that. in iOS 17 for the first time, iPhone users will be allowed to sideload apps.
That's right. Yeah.
So it probably still won't be through the App Store. It'll just be like what it is. It'll be what Android is, which is you download the Epic Game Store onto your phone and you can download Fortnite through that.
Yeah. Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Remember how everywhere they were, and now how like you just don't hear about it being on phones? Like, what a fucking headache.
Yeah. Yeah. And like they just realistically, I mean, they could put it on phones and just not charge through the thing, but they were making a statement.
They were making a statement, and they were in a unique position to do so. But yeah,
yeah, they were the only ones that could make the statement, and it was like watching like two birds like fight over like a piece of bread. It's like I don't really have a winner here, but like I'm enjoying watching them fight. Like I don't have a horse in this race, but like I'll watch.
How uniquely specific.
Yeah, just like that.
Oh, okay. So speaking of Switch Pro controllers, I've played Breath of the Wild a bit this week because last week you asked if I was going to load it up at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. And then I mentioned that question to Sam, and Sam's like, oh, it sounds like a fun idea. Let's try it. And so we did. Loaded it up.
How was it?
Disarmingly enjoyable. And I say that because when I played Breath of the Wild for the first time, it had been out for 6 months already. And that meant a couple of things. One, the Great Plateau was an area that, like, if anyone did content on, you saw it there.
Yep.
It also meant that, like, I still remember the E3 demo when it was only on Wii U at that point. That was all the Great Plateau. So I remember seeing people pick up metal boxes and drop them on other metal boxes to break them open.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, using magnesis to find the chest in the lake and like just random stuff, like finding chilies near the snowfields and cooking them so that you get cold resistance. All of that stuff, all of those like initial discoveries. And even more so after that point, right? Because like after Twitter kind of took off with all those Breath of the Wild clips, you just saw random stuff. So I saw what it was like to ride the mine carts in Death Mountain before I played the game, and like shield surfing and like falling down hills all the time because that happens so much, and like random shrine puzzles, and like, oh yeah, I've seen this one on Twitter. I was enjoying playing the game, but a lot of that like innate initial, even just mechanical discovery was like lost to me. So starting the game, I'm like, well, here I am on the Great Plateau. I'm going to play the Great Plateau again. But I kind of came into it like open-mindedly, and I was playing it thoughtfully and listening to reading all the words, and I found myself just messing around, and just playing in this world that I thought I knew so well, but it still managed to surprise me and charm me.
Yeah. Sandbox.
Yeah, but also the Breath of the Wild sandbox.
Yeah,
and I mean, especially the Great Plateau, because that's so like curated.
Yes.
I was telling you when we recorded our Patreon thing on Saturday, but there was something I did where you walk down the hill and you see the old man and he's sitting by the fire in the cave, and walk down the hill, and you could do the thing where you like pick up some of his stuff, and immediately he like interrupts you. He's like, "Oh, you just pick up anyone's old torch, huh? Oh, ho, I'm just being silly. Go on, take it. Did you know you can light it with X?" But like I took his apple, and he was like, "Do you take anyone's cooked apple? Oh, don't worry about it. You can have it. It's fine. It's good. It's good." And you never know what kind of combinations you could get if you put food in fire. And then I felt bad because he was so nice. So I grabbed an apple that I hadn't cooked, that I just picked, and I put it in the fire. So it started cooking, and it was like on fire, like a marshmallow you put too close. And it turns into a baked apple, and I talk to him, and he has no additional dialogue for that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, fair enough. That was kind of specific. And so I close the dialogue, and I go to pick it up before it burns to a crisp. And then Zelda's like, Link, open your Sheikah slate and look at the map.
Bruce.
And I'm like, shut up, Zelda. Shut up, Zelda. My apple's gonna burn. Shut up.
Bruce.
Thank you, Liv Tyler. It, I didn't need to do that.
No, but
it was fun.
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah,
and like, I broke open a barrel and like a choo-choo jumped out of it with eyes and was gonna attack me, and I was like, oh shit, and then I didn't see that coming. Like, there was just so many like little things. It's just, I don't know. I didn't expect. I know that game so well as someone who picked it up and wanted to play the master mode as like a new way to play the game, but play through it again, and was completely like disinterested in it once I started, because like I knew the areas and everything was just like fucked off too hard. I didn't expect to enjoy playing it in the mode I already had where it was simpler, but I really did. Really, really, really did. Like, I only did like one shrine so far. Like, I've only played it a couple of times, a little bit. It's just so nice. It's so good. I'm a big fan. If anyone's feeling the urge, I recommend people start the game for an hour. Just play an hour of Breath of the Wild if you're jonesing for Tears of the Kingdom. Just an hour, and then leave it be. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I don't really have any interest of playing enough to get off the Great Plateau before Friday. Like, just not really interested.
Yeah. It's and the beginning of that game is so intimate.
Yeah.
Like that. There's like, the immediate quest you do of like meet the king and then go to the Temple of Time. Just that little stretch.
Yeah.
It's quite personal between you and Link.
Yeah.
Right? Because he's like relearning the world and he's relearning what it means to be the hero.
Yeah.
And he's remembering like, how to pick up a weapon and throw it, because you're learning as well, and you're figuring out the controls, because they're a little bit specific to this game.
Well, yeah, and I mean, as soon as I started like running, I was like, "Oh yeah, this control scheme."
Yeah.
Like, I immediately adopted the claw grip, where I've got the edge of my index finger up on the X button so I can run, because I swapped the B and the X.
You can have the running button here and the buttons to press. Yeah. Yep.
But so I can also move the camera, because like not being able to move the camera and sprint at the same time is infuriating.
Yeah. And like the idea that you're like around there. And yeah, and like you're adapting to the new surroundings at the same time that Link is, and then like you get to the Temple of Time, and it's like, oh, this is familiar, and like it's familiar, and Link knows it's familiar, and the King knows it's familiar, and you figure it out, like, oh right, yeah, like I've been here. This is an old stomping ground for me.
Yeah, totally.
Even if you've never played those games, because I don't think I had played Ocarina yet, and so I'd never actually been to the Temple of Time when I first played Breath of the Wild.
Wow, that's intense.
But like, I still knew it. Like, there was still a history that even if I wasn't privy to, was very apparent.
Yep.
That really works in its favor, because because the game does that for the entirety of the game. Every moment is all about remembering a history
and discovery.
Yeah, like a history of the world and a history of Link's time here and his relationship with Zelda.
And also what happened in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Like that the Hateno battlefield that's full of guardians leading up to that defensive wall. Like, that is an intense area to stumble on.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, it's quite a personal experience at the very beginning of the game, at the very least, for like sort of how you approach that area.
Especially because it's a bit safer too, because like you bumble around and you walk around and whatever, and you'll see like a smoke in the distance, and it's like, oh, it's a bokoblin camp. Let me like sneak up in it, and then you're like, oh, it's just the guy.
Yeah,
it's just the old man. He's literally asleep. I have to wake him up if I want to talk to him.
Yeah.
And then he's grumpy.
Yeah.
There's an inevitability of safeness in that Great Plateau.
Yeah.
The biggest danger there is the talus that you're very woefully under-equipped to take on.
Yeah.
Like, I fought it for a bit. I'm like, oh man, I forgot what this is like when you don't have like the sledgehammer to do like the rock breaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it one-shot me.
Yeah. Or the bomb.
Yeah. Or the bombs. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
or bomb arrows, or
Yeah.
even just like a strong sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really charming and nice and fun. And also I was reminded why I took so many screenshots of that game. That game is gorgeous.
But in its own way.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like in terms of it's like striking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the landscapes, the way something that caught our eye was the way the blue light of the activated Chica Tower reflected in the shallow puddles of water at our feet. Like it rippled naturalistically. It was pretty high detail for the type of reflection it was. The sunsets are gorgeous. Like the many shades it throws across the sky as the sun sets. Like, oh man, I have so many sunrise and sunset photos of that game. I already know I do.
Yeah.
And especially on the Great Plateau when you have such a view of everything. Man.
It's also cool because like going back to the Great Plateau, you get to see what feels like the whole world, and like it's not, but like a big chunk of the world.
I'd say it's more than 50% from that plateau. Maybe not at once, but
yeah, probably, yeah. The right-hand side of the map is pretty fucking big. There's like a lot of like mountainous like caverns and stuff. But you know, like when you're there,
it's a good point.
After you've been through that chunk of the game and going back, and then like looking at that giant space that's in front of you, and you sort of have that moment of like, oh yeah, like I sure walked this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like I've sure explored this place. And even if you didn't do every shrine, but it's like even for me who did
just from like the plateau to the dueling peaks, right?
And just back and forth, right? Just like cutting across and then going over here and going over there and going up this tower and trying to find the photos and then realizing you missed like another stable. Like, oh, there's been a stable here this whole time and I just must have gone around it without realizing. And just like there's so much character to that world that you discover across the hundreds of hours that you're in it. That you wouldn't if you didn't spend that much time in it. And the game trusts you to desire that exploration. But
that's what it's there for, right? Like,
but also rewards you for actually doing it. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Game's real neat. Good vibes.
Good vibes.
And then the other thing is, I've played a bunch more Jedi Survivor. I won't be talking too many specifics here, but basically what I have heard is true. And the second half of the game is much stronger than the first. This is something that Jeremy has said to me now that he's finished the game. This is something that people on Kind of Funny have said, which is good because I honestly was worried that we wouldn't have anything to talk about in the spoiler cast. In the mini disc in that first half, I was like, man, I don't even know what we're going to talk about aside from like lightsabers cool, you know?
There's still plenty happening, but it's a different kind of happening. There's a lot of scene setting. There's a lot of scene setting. It might as well, without getting into too specifics, it might as well not be a sequel.
Kinda, yeah.
Which I think, like, as someone who was not a fan of
redefine everything at the start.
As someone who was not a fan of the original, like, I'm like, this is a good decision.
Yeah. So I'm gathering many thoughts that are very spoilerific.
Have you changed your lightsaber color yet? Are you still like, are you changing it often, or are you? Because like I found a color and I stuck with it
frequently.
Oh right, okay.
There was also a moment where I changed my light mechanic spoilers for first 6 hours of the game. I changed my blaster and lightsaber color for the first time in a long time yesterday after a certain story moment.
Right.
And that felt very symbolic to me. That was like, and I've kind of been, I also did this thing of like dressing Cal differently after that as well, as like how I felt and how I thought he might feel.
Right.
And so like, cause you
you've got all the different layers. You can do his hair and his facial hair, and you can do
shirt and jacket.
Shirt and jacket,
Yeah.
or just shirt, as well as the pants.
Yeah.
And so like you can kind of dress him down. So like in his like down moments, or if he's having like a moment when he's just in the ship, sometimes I'll just take his jacket off and he'll just be like in the shirt, and that's like him like with his thoughts, you know. Like I get like a bit too much into it, I guess, but I don't know. It's like a weird.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's like a weird role playing, but not my own character, just that character.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
that piece of bread.
I like Cal.
Okay. Have you changed your hilt angle?
I did. So you mentioned that last week, and I did find that specific option, and it is nice to make it a bit pointier.
Did you go up or down?
You can't hyperextend it, can you?
I thought you could go up, or is it only out and up?
I think you can only go to like a flat 180.
I was hoping it would be the other. I mean, I immediately went like give me like a fucking V, but like
yeah, I went a bit up, but not super up.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. I'm very excited to finish the rest of it. They're doing very interesting things with the story. Their performances are great. I believe in their character motivations. I think they're pulling on interesting threads that haven't necessarily been pulled on that frequently before in the Star Wars universe in any setting. And I'm so here for it. And even if that wasn't the case, I just love running around, killing droids, and slashing at Bogdos. Like there's just like the game feels good as well.
Yeah.
I like doing all of the bits that they have on offer.
Yeah.
Except for the crashes.
A lot of crashes. I feel like I'm getting more and more.
I've had 3 now.
Yeah.
One was in my first hour, like a month ago.
Yeah.
And then I've had 2 post patch.
I've probably had about, I don't know how long it took me to beat. Maybe like 9 hours the game, 10 hours. No, it must be more than that. I got about a crash every 2 hours. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. And like the game runs better on that console than basically anywhere for like hardware's sake, but also it just crashes. I'm like, fucking god damn it. There's no winning with how to play this game.
No, there isn't. Yeah, I think the best place to play it has turned out to be the PS5, which is kind of damning because it's not fantastic, but it's such a credit to the game that it is still going to be on a lot of people's Game of the Year lists this year, I think. Like, if on the list, maybe not at the top, Zelda is going to blow it out, I reckon. But
and don't forget, we're apparently getting 2 Final Fantasy games this year.
Oh, fucking hell. Well, yeah, if it's not like January or February next year for 7 Rebirth.
Yeah, but 16 at least will be up there, probably.
But I think a lot of people are going to think back really fondly on this game. I know I will. I did for Fallen Order, and I will for this as well, I think. We'll see how the ending treats me. That can make or break an impression, obviously, but...
Yes. Yeah. Look, we're not dealing with a 12-minute situation here.
See, I talk about endings coloring my impression of a game, Jeremy, and I think immediately of Wolfenstein.
I can't believe you don't like the ending of that game is like good from beginning to end.
Wolfenstein 1.
Yeah, I'm talking about Wolfenstein 1. That game is good from beginning to end.
No, the ending sucks. Doesn't make any sense. It's completely nonsensical.
It's totally sensical.
No sense.
You just don't get it. No,
I get it. The ending I took issue with specifically was shut up. The ending I took it. There's no reason for them to not just pick him up. They had control over the bomb, and they could have detonated it at any time. And he's like, "No, go without me." But the battle was over, and so they just like.
What a big one. God, that's the most physical movement I've done on this podcast in years.
If audio listeners, Jeremy was miming catching a big fish.
Yeah.
Quite expressively.
Yeah. All right.
That's it, everyone.
That's it.
We're gonna talk about Zelda next week, so
Yeah.
fucking
I was
strap in.
I was thinking earlier today because I was like, I was thinking last night. I was like, oh, what's the topic again for tomorrow's episode? And it's like, oh, the best shopkeepers. And then I was like, oh shit, we didn't have a topic set for next week. And like we do, it's the Tears of the Kingdom.
It's Tears of the Kingdom first impressions. Everyone gather around.
It's going to be like a big blowout episode for the most part. I think we're because it's both what we've been playing and probably topic of the show. We'll
hear about Jeremy's faff that he does that he was talking about, the Fortnites and the Street Fighters. And
look, we might not. Like we'll see how we go. We should have a backup topic just in case, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah, totally. So look forward to that. We both are. I think it's gonna get to Wednesday for me, and like I might start struggling to sleep. Right. You know what I mean? Like I might like go to bed and just be like eyes open, brain on.
Yeah.
But until then, that's the end of another episode of the MiniMapCast. If you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. And even if you didn't, thank you so much. Make sure you listen to next week's episode. It's going to be great. I'm so excited. Make sure to follow all of our socials. That's at MiniMapAU. You can follow us individually as well. Jeremy, where can they follow you on Twitter?
At Obi-Wan Jez. I'll probably be streaming Tears of the Kingdom on Friday, so come hang out if you're into that. I don't know for how long, like in the morning at the very least, Australian morning. I don't know for how long, but you know, if you're spoiler adverse or don't care and want to hang out, come hang out.
And that's Obi-Wan Jez with 2 Zs.
Yes.
Surprisingly off-brand for you, Jeremy. I don't know what that display name's all about.
Yeah, it was like some like there was a I can't think like I can think of a joke, but I just explain it, so I'm not gonna bother. like a really deep cut joke, which I'll tell you in the post show.
Okay, no worries. You can look forward to that. You can follow me on Twitter at KJPalmer_24. You can also head to minimap.com.au to find absolutely everything else Minimap related, including our mini disc podcasts. If you want to get ready for our Jedi Survivor mini disc kind of style of content that will be coming. If you want to, what was the other one I thought of? I thought of something else. Jeremy, remember the first article I wrote? And it wasn't for the site, but we put it on the site. It was maybe the first article on the site was the article I wrote in the lead up to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Because
I knew I wouldn't be able to play Breath of the Wild.
Right.
But it was like where I focused all of my excitement into.
Yeah.
And like where the history of the mechanics had come from that looked so groundbreaking in Breath of the Wild, but actually they had like a decent amount of like history in previous mechanics in previous games. Anyway, you can find that on minimap.com.au. For those of you live with us on Twitch, stick around. We're about to hear Jeremy's story deep cut, that whatever that was. If you want to listen to that later, you can find that on Patreon. And for those listening to this show on podcast services later, make sure to give us those oh-so-tasty 5-star ratings. It helps us out a lot. And consider joining us next week for the live show for our Tears of the Kingdom blowout. And as I just said before, on Patreon, if you want to help keep the lights on, you can support us over there, patreon.com/minimapau. And for $5 Australian, you get 24 hours of early access for all episodes of the MiniMapCast. You can find recordings of the post show. You'll soon, not just yet, but you'll soon be able to find our E3 rewatch old conferences shows that go up there. So keep an ear to the ground. And if you want to support us, that's a great way to do it. Thank you so much. Stay safe, everyone, and enjoy the land of Hyrule and on the weekend, and we'll see you on the other side.
Bye.